This is AM Agenda. With me now, the Shadow Communications Minister, Jason Clare. As the Shadow Communications Minister, of course, I want to ask you about the Gresta matter. We've heard from the Egyptian president, so he's not going to intervene in the judicial process. That's obviously added to the concern that's already there.
Well, it's a great worry. I think we're all still reeling. We're still shocked at the decision. It just doesn't make sense that somebody that, like Peter Gresta, who was just doing his job, has been arrested and now told he's going to spend 7 years in prison. He should be on a plane on the way home to Brisbane and into the arms of his parents, and instead he's rotting away in a cell in Cairo. The statements of the Egyptian leader are worrying, but the work that the Prime Minister is doing, I think, is the right approach. He needs to take the advice of experts of the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade on the best way to bring Peter home, and I'm certain that he's doing that. I
guess it's a reminder, a very stark reminder of the fact that freedom of the press is not universal. And what do you say to suggestions like from the Greens, and in fact one of the other journalists convicted in absentia who is arguing that we should be tougher on Egypt and introduce sanctions and boycotts?
Well, we've got to be very careful. It behoves all of us to make sure that we don't do anything that would prejudice or risk the chances of Peter being released. And that's why I say that it's important that people in positions of power like the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister take the advice of the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade about the best way to do that. I think that they are doing that, and that's why the Prime Minister and the government have our full support.
There is, I want to change tack now and look at some local issues. The ABC review, apparently one of the suggestions is that there should be paid content of some sort after initial free broadcast. What do you make of those reports today?
Well, there's a couple of points here. First is you'll remember that this is a broken promise. The night before the election, the Prime Minister said he wouldn't cut the ABC. They cut the ABC's budget in the budget by about $200 million. This looks like it's a broken promise that's now just going to keep getting bigger and bigger like an ugly boil. They're now promising to cut more money out of the ABC. There's a report, which is still secret, which is apparently explains where money should be cut from the ABC, but we haven't seen it yet. I asked the Minister in Parliament to release this report and he's refused to release it in full. He should do that so we know exactly what we're talking about here. On the issue of paywalls, we should know that catch-up TV, whether it's iView or whether it's catch-up TV on Channel 7 or Channel 9 or Channel 10, doesn't have paywalls. It doesn't make sense to put paywalls there. The free TV people are about to launch Freeview Plus, which will mean that you flick on your TV and not only can you watch what's happening right now, but you can watch catch-up TV, what's been on those channels in the past. And I think that's a good thing. That's what consumers want. They want more content, and putting up a wall there means that you have less access to the content you want.
Well, this is obviously a review and it's only very preliminary at this stage, not even finalised. So what about the general notion that the public broadcasters can be more efficient and can pay their way even more? For example, more advertising on the SBS, which is another thing that's been proposed.
Well, I've always said that the ABC and SBS can be more efficient. Any organisation, public or private, can be more efficient. But to meet the commitment the Prime Minister made the night before election, what he should do, what I argue he must do, is wherever he finds savings inside the ABC and SBS, he should reinvest that in those organisations to provide more services and more more shows, more productions for the people of Australia, more services just like iView.
I want to ask you about the Hizbut Tahrir controversy. This spokesperson that was meant to give a speech as part of the Dangerous Ideas Festival at Sydney Opera House, that's been cancelled now by the organisers, by the Sydney Opera House. What do you say to this initial plan for this gentleman to give the speech? Essentially, the title was saying why honour killings are justified.
We should explain what an honour killing is. You know, this is a father killing a daughter, a brother killing a sister because she chooses not to agree to an arranged marriage, or marries outside the faith, or in some circumstances killing their daughter because she was a victim of rape. You know, this is something that doesn't have a place in any society. In Australia we call it murder, and I think it was a good decision, all but a late decision, to remove this person and this speech from the festival.
Do you think that the Prime Minister was asked about the issue of extremism generally last night on the Richo and Jones program, and he he said that there's a place for religious leaders to speak out more than they do currently against extremism, not in the context of this, it was actually in the context of the suspected 150 militants fighting in Iraq and Syria. Australian militants, that is.
And I think he's right. To be fair, I think many religious leaders already do. But more need to send that message loud and clear because, as you rightly say, you've got 150 people that have already chosen to go overseas with the risk of them coming back radicalised and posing a risk to all of us. So what the Prime Minister says is right. The only point of difference I'd make here is the government is now choosing to abolish the independent National Security Legislation Monitor. This is Brett Walker, who's recommended some of the extra powers for ASIO and the removal of passports for dual nationals. It provides an important service in protecting Australians, and there's a bill in the upper house to abolish that position. I think that is a terrible mistake. The government are calling it red tape. It's not. It protects Australians and it should stay.
From what you've seen so far about those expanded ASIO, ACES powers, and also, as you referred there, the cancellation of passports where someone is a dual passport holder, do you like what you see in terms of those recommendations? Are they appropriate?
Well, they're recommendations that have come from Brett Walker. I think other committees have also made those recommendations as well. We support necessary powers to our law enforcement agencies and our security agencies to protect the Australian public. The key point that we've made is there must be full transparency and accountability for the use of those powers.
Okay, well, do you expect a fight in terms of the Labor Party when it comes to this? Those on the left are traditionally a bit more conservative or cautious about those sorts of measures.
Kieran, this should be, and I'm sure it will be, above politics. It's the major parties, the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, working together to make sure that we protect Australian citizens and take the necessary action to stop more Australians becoming radicalised and posing a risk to other Australians.
Jason, Clare, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kieran.